What's good, YouTube and Twitch? We're live streaming to both, and my internet is going to go out at some point this week due to construction on the house. They say they're just going to cut through the wires and there's nothing I can do about it, so until I get that replaced, we have frozen instead of fresh content. And a huge spark of debate on Twitter over the last week has been Forbidden Droplet. First, people saying they wished they had access to this card, and then it really went downward spiraling from there. I do want to emphasize one thing specifically about Droplet. This is the most expensive ever reprint of a card from a core set in the history of the game, only being beat out by Crush Card, which started as a prize card, not from a core set, being a $350 gold rare that was also grossly shorted in Gold Series 1. Well, this is around 2 of these per entire case of Brothers of Legend, a set that is not getting opened a whole lot, and people want 3 of these. Rise the Duelist was shorted on production originally. It missed the Megatons. If this was in the Megatons, we're looking at max maybe a $50 card, which is still very unbudget friendly, but looking when it's in the triple digit range on a reprint card, this hasn't ever happened. And when we look at the history of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pot of Duality was reprinted into collector tins. It went from $150 down to $5. You look at Dark Arm Dragon getting its gold reprint, it went down to $40 still even back then, and that was a lot for a reprint when people complained about it. So looking through this, it is a historical reprint in terms of how it was treated, how it was shorted, and the secondary market. So who's to blame? Konami for their short printing. It's a clear 3 of that people have wanted for a very long time, yet this was a joke of a reprint. And you look at other reprints, right? Think about their actual ratio. These are $60 boxes, 12 boxes per case, and you're looking at only 2 of them out of that $720 spent. Well, when you spend $720 on even a $30 MSRP set, where you short a card in them to 2 to 3 per case, let's call it 2. Let's go with the short end, like Infinite Impermanence in all those March reprint sets before it finally got its structure deck and gold rare for its first non-short printed listings, you would still see 4 of those per 720 spent, because it's 30 times 12 in a case, and then you double that and you get to the same 720. Weird how product works like that, right? But looking at those ratios, that's still double the amount of imperms and a much more desirable product than Droplet. So all this circles back to budget players. What do we do? What's a replacement? And I've got a harsh truth for you. These cards are expensive because there is such a demand for them in the game, because they do something that no other card will do. You can look at the card next to it. Forbidden Chalice, completely budget. You can get this oh so cheap for your deck, and it's actually gone up over time. These used to be 50 cents. They're a little more expensive now, but still within budget players' range. Under $10 for a playset of a not so nice version of it. And then you look back to Droplet. Well, this card often will take care of some of the exact same cards without an actual cost to the card itself, like Artifact Scythe, if you're able to not have it popped by DPE or something else chained. And that's a huge advantage that this card has. It stops things from responding to it as well, whereas any Omni Negate can take this out. This also targets. This does not target, so anything with target protection also just throws this off of it, doesn't even care that it exists, but it shakes when Droplet is activating, such as, you know, certain cards like that, Destiny End Dragoon. I add End there. I don't know why I add End to Dragoon, but we do this live, yo. And we have Dragoon as its own conversation, but Droplet being able to go after Dragoon is very huge for the card, where this, again, just cries. And you look at Imperm, which is now a more budget option, but is $30. For some people, budget means very different things. There's no clear definition on budget. For some people, they say, I have $50. Used to, that would have bought you a Yu-Gi-Oh! Budget deck, but now we're looking at $200. You're almost looking at like half of a game system just to get in semi-competitively into the game, and it's often been that way. It's been very rare $50 decks could compete, but at least at a budget you could take locals, and now it's much harder to do that, where you look, 3 of these is 30. Where's the rest of your budget going? What engine are you going to go ahead and get? Now, Ash Blossom has gone up over time after getting a Structure Deck print, Gold Series reprints, and you have players pointing and saying it's only your fault for not getting them. I've got news for you. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel has brought a rush of people back into the game with interest, including for the physical TCG, and we've seen the direct and clear movement with that. These duelists did not have the chance to get Droplet at the same price you did at presale, where you went, that's a very good card. And also, presales are very unintuitive. Duelists time and time again see cards fall and fall and fall in price, and only a couple go up, and you get the general advice from the public that, yeah, everything is going to go down in price. Everything is going to, just sink. Wait a couple weeks. We've seen with a lot of presales in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! History, in the first 2 weeks, something just spikes up. Oh, who could have seen that coming? Player brain. That's where you actually have to interpret. And even to this day, an expert like me, who has done nothing but watch the market for a long time, will still make very wrong calls with how pre-sales will go and the next 2 weeks will go, and things will just move in a direction the market itself dictates with demand. So again, these opportunities that you claim you had, that other people should have had, well, Master Duel has brought a ton of people into the game. They don't have a chance for a $10 Structure Deck Ash Blossom, or to just go after the Gold Series Ashes on pre-sales at $8 like you did. People don't have the same opportunity because they're coming in at a later date to one of the most grossly high expensive times in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Pretty much Teledad and Data Return are the only 2 more points where things were just way, way, way more expensive. So as your budget player, what are your options? I will say this. I would think heavily about engines that you can play and test with online completely for free on Dueling Book. I know Konami hates that advice, and see how they fit for you with their budget replacements. For example, you have Baroness de Fleur, but you're able to replace this with Crystal Wing. Now, Baroness is an Omni-Negate. Crystal Wing only does monsters, but often against a lot of decks, it will be good enough. It will actually, at locals, give you the same result quite often times, but then you will find yourself losing out the cards. You'll get Lightning Storm, then you'll go, wow, Crystal Wing, that didn't stop it. Did you summon it in defense? You learn a new move. That kind of stuff, but it won't protect your entire board, right? Like Baroness could, or protect your back row. So you want to look for budget engines and figure out how they fit your playstyle, because playstyles are a thing, and you want to figure out if you enjoy the deck before you spend the money. But that's where I really look around. Right now, Lyrilusk. A lot of people left Lyrilusk because F-Zero isn't a play in the deck anymore so much, and I think it still can be, but you can't do F-Zero and Robin. You can't build the same insane end board you used to. You can look at Lyrilusk, a left behind engine by people, and say, what can I mix this with in the TCG? Look through engines, be creative. This is your realistic option. You're not going to find 1-for-1 replacement cards ever, so you have to pick it back up with your deck's playstyle, in addition to how it can mold with these other cards within your deck. That is the harsh truth. There's no replacement for the good cards, and when you're told otherwise, you will, when playing these cards, see the weakness that they have versus others. Like Dragoon, again, it doesn't care about Chalice. It could care less. You cannot use this card. Neither player can target this card with card effects, but you can chain Droplet to it, have so many cards not to respawn, and take care of the problem. You're going to see a lot of this guy when the Albaz Strike Structure Deck comes out. Or, this card's insanely expensive for its ability to float and continually deal with problems. What's your next best option? It's Rainbow Neos. Here's your budget option. A very powerful monster, but does it play during both players' turns? Absolutely freaking not, it doesn't. And when we see these two gone, this would be the Verte engine that you would be going with. And Verte, thanks to Gold Series, is somewhat budget. So again, as you slowly go through a hobby, there's 2 ways to approach a hobby. You can make it self-sustain or pay by putting work in. Buying, selling, trading, getting more savvy. That takes time. You'll often make mistakes getting into any kind of hobby. You'll overspend and get a crash course early and be wishing you knew what you knew yesterday. That's very common, right? But with this kind of stuff, if you are on a budget truly and you're not able to make a hobby self-sustain, you can't put that time into it because not everybody has the time, or you can't figure out how to get that ball rolling. You want to look at budget engines, what is available as replacement to mix with those, and what works to the best capacity, probably, but you're just not going to get a 1-for-1 replacement. Anybody who's telling you that $30 competitive structure deck videos, they're not competitive. I hate to break it to you. They're not. You're going to try it out. You're going to be like, I had fun kind of trying this, but it's trash time and time again. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. I see Solemn there in the chat, by the way. When do I assume Baroness gets her reprint? Well, let's see. It's in a Legendary Duelist. We already know that they're doing a GX Speed Duel box at the MSRP of the same kind of product that are our special editions like Legendary Duel Season 3. Hidden Arsenals on Chapter 1 and not Chapter 2. I think that would be a Legendary Duelist Season 4, which would be maybe over a year away for Baroness, unless they find another product to plug her in. And right now, Synchro Storm is very much failing on its own. I don't think they're in a rush to reprint her at all. So again, reprints are another thing that you can wait for, as Solemn segueing here. Reprints are a great option. The Megatons are some of the best times to get in with the games, and that, again, with budget, is something to watch out for. I feel like he set me up for this one. So the 2022 Megatons will be coming out later in the year at some point. They'll have Lightning Overdrive, Dawn of Majesty, and Blazing Dumpster Fire, so not the best reprints, along with Burst of Destiny, but you can go for the singles after they come out, and you can see these once $100 cards are around 20 at this point. This card was pushing 75 at one point, and it's 13, and it's a great tool. This is $10 and might end up in a structure deck down the road, the Alba Strike structure deck, which should be great. You can build a budget deck actually around those three, but then you have to add options. You have to sink money in. It's not just 3 structure decks out of the box, and you're good to go. But so many of these engines, like Virtual World, for example, great engine to play on a budget. Tri-Brigade, great deck to play on a budget, all became so accessible thanks to the Megatons, and that's another thing that you should be waiting for, are reprints and learning to time the market and how these cycles can work. Again, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation, and thank you everyone who joined live for this.